My question to you is,
Yes.
what do you think Seven's phrase should be?
Resistance is futile.
Oh my God, you're a monster.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 721423.1. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, we salvaged her head from Viridian 3 but had to borrow parts from other ambassadors to finish her off. It's Ambassador Deneé.
And that's why I have two different sized boobs.
No, I'm not going to comment on. I wouldn't, even if I had known, I wouldn't comment on it.
You should never comment on an android's pieced together body parts. It's just not nice.
Just, you're a golem and we'll get over it. They actually, I don't know if I like, no, I did like this, but there was somebody, of course, someone from like last week's episode has done a zoom in on the body of the Enterprise, and it still has the name of the old ship that Geordie salvaged it from. You're never going to see that unless you hyper zoom in on it. That's a great little detail.
Speaking of great little details, we did have some tweets from this last week.
We did. Do you want to talk about it? Have you got it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Let's hit a tweet.
We got a tweet from Cameron Powers.
Hello, Cameron.
At Cameron Powers 12. And I really like this one. So we're not sending the no one has seen the Borg in over a decade. And then he goes on to say, it honestly brought me to a screeching halt. I loved everything else, but yeah, that's just not true. Is this really season 1 and 2 never happened? And I really hadn't been thinking about it like that. Somebody in the live chat mentioned that specifically. It may have even been Cameron. I'm not sure if Cameron watches the live show, but and I kind of skimmed over it because I thought that it was sinful too, but I didn't realize for whatever reason the potential implication that we literally didn't. We have seen Borg in both season 1 and 2.
Right.
So is it really their attempt at just pretending like this is the only one that exists?
No,
and
it's
what's
not.
Canon then?
It's not. It's not that. And I think it does come down to this distinction that the Jurati Borg are not the Borg and the XBs are not the Borg that we're talking about. So no one has heard from the Borg. I took it to mean that nobody has heard from the Delta Quadrant Borg that are the collective, that are the threat. The XBs and the artifact from season 1 are not a threat. They are coming out of being Borg. The Borg from season 2 is an entirely separate timeline of Borg, and it's the Jurati collective, totally separate from the Borg.
Okay. Quick question. I'm having a flashback to Picard inside of like a home, and the Borg were hunting him around inside the home. Was that from season 1?
That's from season 2, and that's the Jurati collective. They're the Borg Queen from the alternate timeline assimilated some people from the 21st century.
The alternate timeline. Fuck.
So this Borg we haven't heard from. However, I do agree there is season 1 and season 2 erasure going on here, because they're saying that Borg doesn't matter. This is the Borg that matters. So both things are true, but they're not stupid. They're not thinking that it didn't happen, because Shaw even says, don't worry about the weird shit that happened on the Stargazer. The real Borg are still out there. So they're acknowledging it and saying they don't like it.
Cameron responds to that kind of thought in the Twitter feed, and I really appreciate the conversations that happen. It didn't seem like it was like it's passion.
I love
wasn't
it. Super
it
respectful.
wasn't negative. Yeah.
Super respectful conversation.
To that, Cameron said, I don't know, seems like a distinction without a difference. There was no effort made to establish a distinction from the rest of the Borg in season 2, and 30 years of Borg tells us that the collective is the collective. It feels like, however you slice it, Terry wants us to forget.
I think Terry does want us to forget, but there's also, it's a segregated, completely different alternate timeline Borg that exists in this universe, in this timeline. So yeah, that's how I rationalized it in my head. And I think that's also why they've decided to make the finale about the Borg, so that we do get one last hurrah with the Borg. However, I will sin the nuggets off of them if we do not actually see some fucking drones. But I am optimistic. So how today is going to go, we're going to quickly depart after a couple of very, very quick predictions, and then we'll do what we love, we'll do the sins, and then at the end of the show, we're going to do a wrap-up of all of our predictions from the season, and what possibly came true, and just some general thoughts and feelings about what we would like to see next, if possible, or what didn't happen that we would have liked to see happen. But this week's episode is called The Last Generation. Started off with the Next Generation as episode 1, and the finale is The Last Generation. The Enterprise is en route to Earth to tackle an assimilated Starfleet fleet. What's going to happen, Deneé? Do they all die?
No, they don't all die. It's not that dire of a show, and I don't think that they would do that to this fan base, especially not with this being the third part of this swan song for the Picard character. Like it or hate it, season 1, season 2 led to this season 3 moment. There's no way that they're gonna kill everybody.
I don't see it happening. Not after the backlash from Nemesis killing Data, the back and forth with getting the whole crew back together. Well, I think we are safe to say we will have a completed crew by the end of this. Honestly, I'm excited for it to be. I don't need the drama. I don't need the tension. I don't need, oh my gosh, are they all going to die? I do just want to see them on one final adventure, and I think that's what we're going to get. And I am really excited to see the Enterprise in action against the Borg.
And see Data sacrifice himself again and die.
Stop it. I mean, yeah, the trend would suggest that Data's going to throw himself into something and blow up. Oh my goodness, I can't. My goodness? Oh my goodness, I can't wait.
Oh my goodness.
I'm excited. Okay, any last minute predictions?
It's really funny because we do these predictions, then we watch the show, then we come back in and we review in our excitement, and then we often forget the predictions we had at the beginning of the show.
We forget what they
because, like last week, you were so convinced we were going to have some cameos, and there were none.
No, all we had was Shelby. Shelby was the only cameo, the captain of the Enterprise F.
So I don't know if we're going to be seeing cameos this time.
I think it's going to be too busy. I don't think we're going to have them.
I think at this point it would be sort of feel a little lightheanded if they decided to bring in O'Brien or somebody, you know?
But O'Brien and Tasha.
Well, we saw Tasha.
In a hologram.
How else are we going to see her? She's fucking dead.
Alternate universes and timelines and whatnot.
Listen, that's what got us in this Borg confusion in the first place.
It's not the real Tasha. Tasha hasn't been heard from in 10 years. Mm-hmm. Much longer.
No, I really want to see the happy ending situation. I really, really do. I don't know if Picard is trying to hand off to a new season or a new, like, something new. In Marvel Universe, you'll see characters appear in a TV run program that are going to appear on the big screen. And if you haven't watched the TV, then maybe you wouldn't even know this character. And they sort of experiment with the format a little bit. I don't know if Star Trek is doing that or if this is just this nice little insular, like, petri dish of happy Picardness. But are they going to try to send Jack out into the Star Trek world to do something beyond this show? But I think that this is going to be obviously a very clear understanding of what they want Picard's legacy to be.
I think that's
I'm
the
thinking
focus.
they're probably going to put it into Jack so that we can kind of carry the character forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting to have a father-son moment. Whether that's because Picard is on his deathbed or because he's going to go off to be with his Laris, his beautiful Laris, and live happily ever after. I don't know. I hope they don't kill Picard. I would rather see him walk. I'd rather see him beam off of a ship to his happiness, or say engage in a shuttlecraft to go, like, just something
into the sun.
Give me that last shot of Patrick Stewart. But we've had a lot of really good shots of him as his character, especially the end of last episode where he kind of points and says engage with this, like, confidence. And I really like that. So
I think the final shot is going to be all of them around a poker table playing poker.
That would be fun.
With Jack, maybe with Geordie's kids as well.
Okay. On the holodeck.
Yeah.
And then the looming figure of Moriarty appears.
And
that's the end.
Oh man, that would be amazing. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any deaths. I think we will have Jack being Picard's legacy. There is talk about a Star Trek legacy TV show which continues on in the 2400s. I know Terry Matalas and Dave Blass would love to do that if there's the money. The only way to do it is to watch this show repeatedly. So we'll just keep watching Picard over and over and over again to get it.
You know how some people on Twitch, they'll just stay on Twitch and they ride the raid waves. They get back to their computer. They have no idea who they're watching because they've just been raided from channel to channel to channel. We're just going to be watching Picard on repeat. We're not actually going to be sitting in our computer seats. It's just constantly running.
Yeah. Well, hey, if it gets us more Star Trek, I'm here for it. I would love that.
This is how we pick it in 2023.
Yes, this is our version of picketing. We don't queue up anywhere.
We don't actually go anywhere. We don't fly to LA. We don't take a bus with the last $20 in our pocket to make sure that this TV show exists. So no.
We have 20 computers set up, all streaming the same show.
Mm-hmm. Every streaming option you've got.
We can do it.
We've talked too about our predictions for like how they're going to save people with the whole beaming technology, and I think Beverly is going to find the cure. So yeah, I'm excited to see this episode and kind of see how they wrap up this entire series in a nice little Picard bow.
That's the question mark, isn't it? How are they going to cure everybody that has been Borgified?
They're going to transport them.
It'll be transporters. So you got to fix it with transporters and Picard's good genes. I imagine so. Okay, with that...
Oh my God, Picard's going to be part of us all.
With that, let's head over to the holodeck to watch the series finale, the last ever episode of Star Trek Picard, and we will see you in 10 Forward for a full debrief. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator, play some poker, and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched, which in this case is the final episode ever of Picard. Ambassador, what is your beverage or item or food of choice?
Man, what was it called when you would go to the soda machine and you would just get one of every kind of flavor? I want to do that, but with all the poker beverages at the end.
Okay,
I can't remember. Like, I want a slush.
A slush? You want
a slush
what's it
of
called?
nostalgia? I don't remember.
Man, there's a name of that drink where you just take like a finger of everyone else's drink.
Yeah. I'll go with blood, wine, and pizza.
Yeah.
Or Chateau Picard.
Mm-hmm. No, nobody likes that. It tastes gross. I will take a phaser. I'll take a sword, which is more fun than a phaser.
For your replicator, I thought we were supposed to be something about food. I really did.
I did say food. I said beverage item or food.
And so how is a phaser a beverage item or food?
It's an item.
You didn't say item.
I did. I said beverage, food, or item.
Okay.
Play it back, computer.
No. I believe you.
Okay, Ambassador, give us a synopsis for the final episode.
Oh, shit. In today's episode, we go full on TNG and are shown exactly why we wanted this every single episode, the entire season long. Our OG crew is on an old school ship doing crazy stuff inside of a Borg cube.
Maneuvers and shit.
If you wanted to see the Enterprise zippity-doo-dah around, this is the episode for you.
Hashtag Death Star run.
Did you want to see Data wrestle with his emotions? This is a wink and a nod to what it would actually be like. I could also say in this episode, we do go full Lord of the Rings and have all of the beautiful endings that we were hoping for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We get to see all of it come to an end, and we get to see yet another thing undone from previous seasons.
My goodness.
Spoiler, except for not really spoiler, that's why you're here. Q shows up.
Wouldn't it be quicker and easier to just delete it from the internet? All season 2?
Maybe.
My goodness, it did make me chuckle.
This was a nostalgia episode galore, and you also have Picard jumping in to save his son. That's probably one of the biggest parts of this, is that in order to save the world, not just Earth, the everything, they have to destroy the signal coming from this Borg cube, this devastated Borg cube, and Picard joins the chaos of all of the voices and finds his son deep in the mental seed of Borg and saves the day. And
with a
Enterprise.
With a cuddle.
You know, cuddles. When you have a Picard cuddle, you can never recover. It's never the same again after that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good synopsis, actually. That's pretty great. That's everything. And then we get the goodbyes.
I mean, that's this episode, but as a season end cap, how did you feel it did?
No, I loved it. I absolutely adored this episode. It gave me anything that was missing from the season. It gave it to me. It ticked off everything that I wanted to do. It reaffirms my thoughts that this should have been 6 episodes long and we should have got here a lot quicker. I'm sure there are so many complex logistical reasons why we didn't, but this was an incredible 60 minutes of thoughts that I'd forgotten I'd had that I wanted to see. So, for example, one of them was, man, wouldn't it be cool to see the Enterprise D be more flexible like Voyager? So even though Voyager was only a few years removed, we got to see that ship do lots of different maneuvers and like 180s and flips, and the child in me was like, the colossus that is the Enterprise D, wouldn't it be cool if we saw it do that? And we saw that with the Death Star trench run through the Borg cube, Data grinning his face off while piloting the ship, some good old outrageous Star Trek maneuvers
at the hands of an android who has godlike abilities.
100%.
Let's just be clear, it wasn't a cook ensign that had just been put down onto the bridge. This is a fully functional, multi-personality, highly complex android. Yeah.
Nearly a god, as you said. So much. An efficient wrap-up of the Borg storyline that I was content with and happy with. And then a good amount of time at the end to just give us some goodbyes, give us the powering down of the Enterprise, give us 1 year later, what are they doing now? And yeah, honestly, they clearly stuck the landing. Just a really, really, really fun episode. What about you?
I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. I kind of figured I would because it seemed like they were crescendoing into the TNG of my dreams, the happy moments. But I wasn't sure at one point. I remember feeling the sense of dread when Picard and Worf and Riker beam onto the Borg ship. I remember thinking, like, when I watched them beam into danger in the past, it didn't feel so dangerous. Probably because I know that they're going to survive, right? We're watching a show that's about them and they're going to survive. So in this moment, I am feeling a sense of dread because it's 3 characters and of them, one could easily be killed in this kind of moment. And it's like, oh my God, are they going to kill Worf? Are they going to kill Riker? Is this it for one of these characters? Is this where the franchise is going to have their story end? And I was filled with dread because I was like, oh, this could be how they decide to let it go out. You know, I didn't know if they were going to do the happy TNG, everybody survives thing. And of course, no surprise there. I'm glad that they
very much an episode of TNG. Yeah.
I'm glad for it. I mean, there's a lot of dark themes that we watch in our content to have thought patterns and things that you can kind of experiment with thinking about that maybe aren't part of your actual everyday life. Like, stuff like this is designed to let you feel things. And for me, TNG was that escape to just watch something fun and adventurous. And so because Picard this season has that new storytelling filter on it, I didn't know if they were going to be like, okay, we're going to deal with some serious themes and then we're going to get real serious and deal with the death permanence. I'm like, man, I just want something that's going to make me happy.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, maybe it's lame, but I'm glad that they did. And I'm glad that everybody survives. But I did feel a sense of dread in that moment. Some of the stuff worked for me. Some of the stuff didn't work for me. Like Borg Queen wasn't really working for me for some reason. And I don't know why.
I've got some ideas.
So a lot of prosthetics on the head. And I think it's hard to maybe like feel the emote. But she was just this... I don't know that I've ever really seen Borg Queen as so much mechanical. So that was really interesting too. I was just completely entranced by she's 99% machine and she can't move her physical form in this section. And then she's just got like this little human topper. Like, you know,
bobblehead.
Like a little bobble. Yeah. Just like a little topper thing. And so I was really distracted by, not in a bad way, but I was distracted by some of the prosthetics because I was like, man, she's just like kind of held in there. So some of the things didn't work for me because it took me out of the moment, but that's going to happen no matter what I watch as I'm writing notes and kind of thinking about stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I had a good time. I thought it was paced well for me because we were at Borg Cube under 5 minutes in. So
yeah, which
we didn't
needed.
delay.
Yeah.
We went right into it. We went and faced some danger, and then we got to spend 10 minutes or so at the end having our wrap-ups, which is what I was hoping for, because one of my biggest pet peeves in TV in general is getting to the finale of something and having 12 seconds to have a goodbye feeling.
Yeah.
Like the shows where somebody wins, they finally win at the end of some competition, and before the confetti has settled, the show is over. You're like, I've been watching this person struggle and fight and compete this entire season, and you're going to pan away before they can have, like, before I can watch what's going on, you know. So I hate it when shows, whether reality TV or whatever, just like fade out and don't give me a minute to sink into it myself.
Do you know who the biggest culprit of this is for me? Which single show?
Have I seen it?
No.
Okay, then no, I have no idea.
I'm just sorry. It's in Star Trek. It's Star Trek Voyager. So, spoiler alert: the ship makes it home. You have this huge big finale. They drop out of this warp tunnel. They arrive at Earth. 7 years. 7 years we've been with them, waiting to get home. Fireworks go off. Cut to credits. Nothing.
No.
You don't see shit. You get like a little transmission saying "Welcome home, Captain." Fireworks. That's fucking it. 7 years and we didn't get anything of Voyager's Welcome Home. So yeah, I feel it. So I'm really glad that they didn't do that this time and wrapped up with some more.
Oh man.
It could be one of the biggest crimes in all of TV, not just all of Star Trek, but all of TV history. Yeah, rough. But this
one
do
did
that,
not
thank
do
goodness.
that. No, and I'm glad. I mean, it definitely, and I think I called this in some predictions of, at least I said I wanted this ending vibe. And we had multiple moments where Picard could have had his final line, whether it was on the Borg cube or on the bridge.
Oh man, I thought the bridge
poker
turning
table.
the lights off was going to be it. Because I didn't have a concept of time. I thought that might be where we ended. It did do the Return of the King multiple endings for sure.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I really thought that overall this did a lot of things that I was excited to see, including LaForge in the captain's chair, including Data having that human moment of taking over the ship and flying it with joy, and Deanna picking up on that emotion and just seeing Data smiling. And I mean, he was just
goofy ass grin.
He was elated, and I personally, I almost cried because I was like, look how happy he is. And he's my favorite character. And it was really hard to have him be a favorite character and see him as the kind of goodbye moment in Picard 1, because it was so, like, I had to do a lot of work to remember why this would be very emotional for me. But then we went back and watched a lot of TNG, and I was like, no, I love this character. I just missed why this is a goodbye to Data. And then in season 2, you know, we have a whole different thing going on. In season 3, obviously, I'm like, what are they going to do with Data? And then they do this merger, and okay, what are they doing with this character? But then he's still somewhat really him and his own person. And for what Brent Spiner, like the time he had on screen to kind of bring this new iteration of Data to life, it was a delight to watch. And that smile of him at the helm, I could make the background of my desktop and be happy, because he's just like super elated and joyful,
pure
even
joy.
though they are on the verge of death.
But it makes sense because he's an android that's new to feelings. So he's still trying to separate all of this new stuff of the crew, trust me, I know I've got this, and just grinning like a buffoon. Such a beautifully pure moment.
He's a delight. Because he's just, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but he's just that character that is that childlike presence that
yes, exactly.
TNG obviously needed at times, but this show didn't really have very much of. And so I'm glad they didn't do too heavy-handed. Now, for someone who doesn't watch TNG, it might be like, why are we spending any time with these characters at all? Because I've been spending all of my time with Jack, and I've been spending all of my time with LaForge's children. So why are we suddenly switching over to this new character that I don't really know much about? But then why are you watching Picard?
Yeah, right. Before we shift gears, I do want to come back to your feeling that anybody could have died. That's the only thing I didn't feel that. I didn't get that.
You didn't?
No, not at all. It's probably because I know the backlash from Nemesis, from killing someone off, and it is this pop culture thing that someone has to go, like Serenity did it with Wash. Someone has to not make it, and I think that was an issue with how the Star Trek films ended. It was an issue with season 1 of Picard, some would argue. So I think it was very it was very careful and very delicate. Like, that's not what this show was meant to do. This show has always been about the victory lap. It's always been, here's some stuff you want to see in 2023 that we couldn't do in the 90s. So it didn't feel right to me. It's like, if you're going to kill someone off, why is it? Because this is clearly the end of their story. Why? The odds are we're not going to see them on screen again. So just let them live happily ever after in your imagination. I don't get the impact of killing anybody. So just from a maybe slightly cheatery writer point of view, it didn't really make sense to me to kill anybody.
Yeah, I understand that. But I was still thinking, this is, does somebody give a great sacrifice, and is it Riker? I also felt emotion between Riker and Deanna when they kind of exchanged glances before he went to the Borg ship. They gave that moment the gravity that it deserved, and I believe that maybe there was going to be a payoff to that gravity through some sort of death. I am very glad that they did not die.
Oh, 100%. That is if there was a second where I thought, oh, it was that exchange of looks between Riker and Deanna, where I was like, oh, yeah. Wow. And because Frakes is directing so much, I was like, possibly. But as soon as they departed, all of that tension for me left. And I'm actually grateful for that, because I didn't want to be distracted by, are they going to make it? I just want to enjoy the D.
Yeah.
There's the cold open. Okay,
yeah,
let's...
I agree with that completely. And I'm glad that they did it this way too, because it, sometimes you do get to die a different kind of a death than this. And on reflection, in the moment, if they had killed Picard specifically in the Borg cube, for example, I think that would have been a cheap death for me. Yeah, and I'm going to say the word cheap, because almost like we're going to go back, revisit Borg, and nothing really incredibly major was happening in that moment. There wasn't like a big drone battle. There was a conversation. There was the internal struggle between the Borg Queen and their way of thinking, and some revelation about why they were working with the changelings and things like that. But to put Picard's end there, I would have been like, that's how he goes out? Like,
and
no.
Exactly
put him on the Titan fighting the Armada, like do something like that with his death instead of this lonely sort of end. I would have felt maybe like a little hollow there. With an understanding that he would sacrifice himself for Jack, though, and that was
I agree.
Meaningful.
There's always the trickiness of when you have these legacy characters of, wow, they survived everything, and this is how you kill them. And just to mention Firefly again, that's what bugged me the most about Wash's death, is that he's been through so much, they've done the hard stuff, and a fucking stray spike kills him. And it's like, yeah, I know, random shit happens, but that's not why I watch TV.
Are you talking about a leaf in the wind?
Yeah, I'm doing a leaf on the wind moment. Yeah. Let's go from the top. And we're just going to, this is technically a prediction, but it's the opening of the episode. Called it, the Enterprise D doing the opening victory lap around the Star Trek logo. Oh, that was so good.
And then it Borgifies.
Yes. Oh, I pumped my fist in the air. I was like, do it. It's the only chance you're going to get to do it. So good. It's immediately followed by the Enterprise arriving with the nebula in the back from the opening credits of TNG season 3 onwards, and with the nebula and then the strip of purple, and I was like, yes, get it. I don't know where you finally found that bit of space, but I'm glad you did.
Oh,
so
that's
good.
Awesome.
It's so good. It's beautiful to see it in 4K, HD, whatever Paramount Plus is deciding to do. Is beautiful. Loved it. Loved it.
And I know we're going to go from top down, but I'm going to be jumping around because fuck you, Captain.
Jump up, and get down.
The other parts that I knew that you were flipping out was watching like the Enterprise go through Borg Cube or Enterprise facing off against Borg Cube. Seeing how huge it was.
Yes, that's my next note. There is a fantastic setup shot here where you do the massive Enterprise D arrives at the Borg at Jupiter, and it's a close-up on the saucer section. The Enterprise fills the screen. And then a great contrast to how tiny it is compared to the Borg Cube and then Jupiter. A really clever way to give you a sense of scale.
Oh, and it did. Loved it. It really did that for me. I was like, oh, there it is, the massive ship. And then it's like, oh,
shit.
Though we don't reference it often, live chat, someone said Jupiter's spot is 10,000 miles wide, or about 1.3 times the diameter of Earth. So the Borg Cube is really that huge? I think that's the idea, right? That it's massive?
Yeah, they didn't 100% say it, but based on the fact that we are dealing with the same Borg Queen that was at the end of Voyager, I believe, my hypothesis that is what's left of the Borg hypernetwork hub thing was transported into Jupiter, and that thing was a city, like not even a city, sorry, it was a planet of Borg infrastructure and everything, and Voyager looked tiny next to it. So I genuinely think it was that big.
It was
cannibalized
incredible.
over the last 15 years out of the parts of the Borg.
Another moment where I saw Ian doing his Kermit arms and freaking out was when Deanna, sinful or not, knows how to hone in on her man, and like they rip the top off like a tin can and they zoom in.
Shit.
And I mean, there are some moments where I don't care how fucking stupid it is. It looks really cool.
It's worth it.
And that was really fucking cool.
Right, they're on the deck, and I'm just like, it's a bright light in the sky, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be the Enterprise. It's going to be the Enterprise. And it just does this 180 turn, and it's just, that's the shit I want to see. It's the stuff that we're never going to get to see, most likely, ever again. Like, and it's a great little, like, let's do the cool stuff, like, while we have the opportunity. Well,
it's a fun way for them to, again, use that perspective, because we saw how small the ship is compared to Borg Cube, compared to Jupiter. But then when we're in Borg Cube and they rip the top off tin style, and then we're seeing little people looking up at big ship, it still somehow gives you this really confident way of knowing kind of how to feel big or small in certain moments. And I thought it was really clever, especially because of the bravado. You know, you've got this ship that basically has nothing to lose doing insane stuff to do what they've got to do to get out and save their crew on the way. And it's like, okay, we're going to do some crazy stuff. And here's what it looks like if we can use CGI to our advantage. And it looked really, really cool. It looks
incredible. This is some incredible CGI. Like, I forgot that we're in an imaginary world here.
It was so really great. Impressive. And what I mean by that is when the camera angle is by, you know, Picard and Jack's thigh, looking up with them as they're about to be an encounter of the third, whatever, like
Close
beamed
encounters
up.
Of the third
yes,
kind.
It was like, oh my God. And it's like they were stunned and I'm stunned. It was a fun way to somehow make it out of that impossible moment.
And I like just to jump around a little bit. Deanna is obviously like, I know where he is. She goes to the con. That was the one time I got out of my seat because I was like, nope, don't let her fly the ship. She keeps crashing them.
Who's that?
Deanna, because she gets up and goes to the position next to Data, and I was like, lady, the last time you did this, you crashed it into a planet. The second time you did it, you crashed it into a Romulan ship. Sorry, Reman ship. Mm-hmm. But I just thought, you can't do it. Then so that was 100% a redemptive thing for Deanna of she can fly the ship. She doesn't have to crash it every time.
It was also fun to see Beverly have a little moment where she just bombs the fuck out of that Borg cube, and everyone's like,
love that
okay,
they addressed
lady.
It. As I'm typing my sins, they all look. That is one of the jokes that really landed well for me, because they all look around and just like, Doctor shall do no harm. Like, how? And she's like,
a lot's changed, guys. Like, you don't know me, I don't know you, but we also kind of know each other. I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Yeah, 20 years has been a lot. They have my son. Don't fuck with me. Loved it.
They have been hunting her for a long time. But anyhow, from the top down perspective, like, it's such an interesting thing for us to be. We get excited about seeing the ships and stuff, but this had so much going on in it that I didn't even want to go through in specific order, because another fun ship thing that I was like, Ian's probably freaking the fuck out right now, is that huge space battle. What did you think of that?
Well, and I've been complaining so much about where are my phaser beams at? Like, where are they? And Terry Metalis is just like, okay, have all of them.
In the finale. They're all of them.
Everyone constantly. It looks like a laser grid one. That is what we mean when we sin fire everything. That is what I will now cut to. Whenever like a movie says, fire everything, and it's not, I'm like, hey, this is everything, not that. Yeah.
And it was a lot of everything.
Absolutely loved it.
It was impressive, and it was also, at first, when we cut over to it, and it's just like, I'm like, are we back on that rave like drug planet right now? Because it was just Prime? Like, yeah, like there's stuff flying everywhere. But then we kind of slow zoom in on where the Titan is in this massive group. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really clever. I also thought it was incredibly interesting, and we'll get to some specifics about the scene, I'm sure, because we're going to go top down more details, like who was talking on screen at certain points in time to save Earth or whatever. But that huge space station, but it's not really a station, it's like the defense for Earth.
It's a space station, yeah, planetary defense, but it is a space station. I think it's implied that it manages the shields around Earth as well.
That thing took a shit ton of damage.
It
was so fucking cool, wasn't it? Because you have to look at that and go, they were prepared for the absolute worst to happen.
Yeah.
And it did, and they went as long as they possibly could, because they sustained an entire
They lasted 20 minutes.
Armada.
Yeah. No, but that's a long amount of time. That should have been in my... Because, so here's the problem. I've been pre-programmed to... Like, one ship can eventually blow up everything as soon... Like, the Titan blowing up the Shrike with, like, a couple of things. So it's hard for me to scale that up to a space station where I'm like, you have hundreds of ships here, all firing sustained, and it lasting that long. But it should last that long. It's defending Earth. All of your technology should be in that one bit of gear, and it should be that hard to take down. But I've seen too much other stuff where I'm like... Man, that many ships will just blow it up in seconds. So I love it. It's hard to keep it consistent with the rest of what I know, though.
Well, it seems like if there's going to be any amount of advanced technology to use as far as resources, and maybe even just resource hoarding, it would be that space station that protects
it all. You would think so, yeah. But my issue is that 15 years ago, when the Borg last invaded Earth, that weren't there.
It's there now. That's what matters.
But yeah, this is one of the few times where I can't sin. Oh, hey, why isn't anything defending Earth? We can't sin that because it did a great job of defending Earth. But yeah, my last point on the Enterprise was just in general, the glory shots that we had of it flying through space that were really front loaded into the beginning of the episode, coming out of warp, the different camera angles. The camera lingered on this ship, knowing full well my eyes were hungry for it, and the timing. It's put together by a fan. It is filmed by a fan that would probably put it on there for twice as long, and then found the compromise of this is how long it will actually be on screen. I think this episode is 60 minutes instead of 45 because of the glory shots, and I'm here for it. I loved it.
Well, I think that one thing that they did very well was they considered the ship a character. And I think oftentimes the vehicle that transports the people isn't seen as an important character, forgetting that people love vehicles.
We do.
Fast and Furious, for example, just these different franchises or shows that have an understanding that like the camera wants to linger on the bumper and the chrome and the wheels and the engine because there's a group of people that love that. And in this case, we get to see it on screen, but it's in this time frame where we have this beautiful technology that can support it more than... I'll never downplay the importance of model building. There's something really incredible about the history of how shows like this have shown and built up the worlds that have to exist in these details to give the viewer this space, not literal space, but like the space of like what we're creating in this fantasy, in the sci-fi realm. So they're going to make a model ship. They're going to make a matte painting. They're going to show us in depth as best they can, or they're going to model build like they did with Lord of the Rings and like all of the things that they did to where they could get in and do these really interesting details and just add a little CGI over the top. Here we get to see in full display the beauty of a great set matching the exterior, and it just comes together so well. It reminds me of Strange New Worlds a lot.
Yes.
But in this case, I think the understanding of how important the word Enterprise is, which is shown at the end of the show as well, which is a beautiful send-off. I think that they spent the right amount of time showing the exteriors of these worlds. Yeah. And I can't imagine how expensive it was to put out.
I kept thinking this the whole time. I was like, for 2 episodes... That must have been expensive because, they rebuilt the bridge from scratch. Like, there's nothing of it left. That is all rebuilt. I'm amazed they got it so close. And for me, if I was to be asked, like, what's the most iconic thing about Star Trek? It is the ships. It's the ships and the sets because they last. Like, the characters come and go, the actors come and go, the writers come and go, but these sets and ships last, and that's why we get so touchy when the sets are too dark and we can't see them, or that it's too glossy, or it's too looking like Star Wars or looking like something else. Star Trek has always had such a great flavour for the world that you're in, and you could imagine yourself living on the Enterprise D. I can't tell you how many dreams I've had about living on, not even as like a crew member, just as a civilian on board that ship. And it's a testament to them focusing on that area of show production as much as anything else.
Which is, I think, why we have to say, despite it being undone, season 1 and 2 really did lend itself for us to be able to have this season 3 where they're spending the kind of money to create the sets, do the CGI, and pay the actors to come back together to get around a poker table. It's just something that is really neat. You know, there's just rarely a time when I'm so taken aback by a love note to the fans. And even if some of these episodes, as you guys know, I wasn't as excited about, I'm still in it because it's something that I still want to see what the writers and directors and set designers, I want to see what they have. There was a little dip for me, but at the same time, like, it feels like I was given something, a very expensive gift.
Yeah,
and I
it really
appreciate
does. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Is this was a very expensive gift to the fans of, here's some stuff you never got to see in the 90s. And here's the goodbye that you never got to have either. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. My last point on that was it's also the reason I like when I'm watching Star Wars, I get more excited by the ships than I do the characters turning up. So when I see a Star Destroyer appearing, or when I see an X-Wing, a Y-Wing, I'm like, let's go! Because I'm more familiar with that than the characters and stuff. And it's the same in Star Trek. You put a ship in front of me, I'm a sucker. Early on in the episode as well, we had a beautiful, beautiful tribute to multiple Chekhovs here. So President Anton Chekhov, which is the son of Pavel Chekhov from, I'm guessing it's the son of Pavel Chekhov from the original series. Anton Yelchin obviously sadly passed away a few years back, and he played the Chekhov in the J.J. Abrams movies. So beautiful nod. And I'm 99.9% certain it was voiced by Walter Koenig, who played the original Pavel Chekhov. However, I've been wrong about calling out who has been playing what, as evidenced in last week's outtakes. But that was a really nice touch. Really nice.
The live chat seems to be supporting you. So I don't think you're wrong in that. But it is interesting because I recognize the name Chekhov, but I was like, okay, this is an important person. And there's something about the delivery of those lines where it felt like a legacy piece.
Yes, it did.
Where it was kind of, I don't know, like this person before they falls, they're going to give this like last instruction. And there was a nice, there was something really beautiful about, like, as my father used to say.
Yes. Or, never give up hope, or there's always a chance for hope, or something like that.
So I thought that was really, hope is never lost. There's always possibilities. Yeah. And so I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Excellent, amazing touch. It's beautiful. What else did you have, Ambassador? Give me some fist pumps, some stuff you loved.
Oh my God. I really enjoyed a lot of this. I've already covered a lot. I'm going to keep just going from memory instead of my notes.
Yeah, go for it. Follow your instincts.
It's kind of fun to be so impressed. I continue to love Worf. I think he has now taken maybe the top spot for me of performance for the entire season.
I might be with you.
He stole every single scene he was in. His lines were delightful. They were poetic and deep, and they were character driven and humorous. And I felt like I was just seeing like this is probably the last time we're going to see these characters.
I would think so. Yeah.
And so for him to like hug Rafi and know that he was the one that released and leaked information, that she finally gets her justice, which I'm really glad that they addressed that, because
oh, thank goodness.
You know, one of my predictions came true, which is that her son returns.
Yay!
Okay, maybe not quite the way that I thought.
Close enough.
Gabe is on screen, at least by voice, and she's vindicated. You know, her paranoia has proved to be true, and she is essential in saving everybody. And I love that Worf shows his heart, but in these really fun, clever ways where he's like, man, the person that did that must be a maverick of information or whatever, you know?
Wink, wink.
And then the beats between he and Riker on the Borg ship were so fun. The moment when he says my sword and Riker struggles to pick it up and he's like, oh shit.
That was incredible.
I loved that.
What a great little touch. I was like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
Oh shit, like that's heavy.
He's just like floating it around and Riker's like, fuck.
Yeah, it was such a great moment for so many reasons. And then you get a phaser in you the whole time and he's just like, swords are fun, you know? And he had many other, when he falls asleep, because he just
starts snoring. And I get it
he was
because
shot.
Klingons have like a lot of redundant systems, but then they have to do a lot of healing as well. Like he takes a beating, the adrenaline kicks in, and then he's just like, fuck, I'm out. I'm done.
So those were really fun for me. And I felt like all of my beloved TNG kind of had a moment to shine.
Yeah.
And though Deanna seemed to be kind of poo-pooing on her job responsibilities as a counselor, there's also this, she's been enduring this person not sticking to the time limits, and it does take a taxing effect. So she was still sitting down and listening.
Like they're having appointments every single day for a year.
So I kind of enjoyed that she continues to kind of, yes, she's there, but she's also trying to live her life and kind of move on. But she still had some great moments this time where she was sensing some things, and like she wasn't, just a throwaway character for me either. And yeah, everybody kind of had their moment. I think we were supposed to be really excited about 7 of 9 launching into this next season with Titan. And I have to say that moment at the end of the episode, when we do get to see everyone kind of like take their seats on the Titan, I did get excited. I didn't expect to quite as much because I am a Strange New Worlds. Like that's all I want to think about. I don't want to think about anything else. Like I want to go back into that world so bad.
That crew, give me that crew right now.
Give me that crew. Yeah. That's one that I want to revisit. But this one was fun, and it was a nice kind of like send off for this new group.
It does two great things. It lets our imagination be very, very comfortable with the idea that we have Captain Seven, Jack, we have a LaForge on the ship, we have Raffi that's vindicated, we have a familiar crew that is on the new Enterprise and continuing on a legacy of exploring. It also has the possibility of, hey, if we like this enough, we can have a Star Trek Titan, we can have a Star Trek Legacy or something, and here's some little sprinklings of how it would look. I don't by any stretch of the imagination think that's guaranteed or that they have it in the bag, but it was smart to leave the door open for let your imagination continue into the 25th century, or here, let's pick up a season order.
Yeah, and it did the thing where it doesn't tell you what her phrase was.
Oh, of course not. I mean, I shouted out, cowards! And Aaron was like, well, what were they going to do?
I mean, I'm just saying, if that's the only reason, if they had that hook to get you to watch whatever they're going to do with that crew, they didn't do their job well enough.
No, exactly.
I liked it, though. I thought it was a cute little wink and nod. And the buildup of like how important that is. What was interesting to me is that because I don't pay for ad-free Paramount Plus to watch these shows, I did watch an ad, which was a preview for Strange New Worlds.
Oh, did you look away?
I tried.
But you failed.
I failed.
This isn't the full trailer because I saw this before the show as well.
There's a moment where a person is sitting, one of our crew people is sitting in the captain's seat about to tell them like how to engage or make whatever, make it so whatever. And it kind of builds into this fun moment where it's like, everybody has something that they say. What are you going to say? So that was in the preview for Strange New Worlds, and it's in the finale of this episode.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was extra fun because it's like, it is kind of a thing, right? Like everybody 100%. Has their own thing. So my question to you is, what do you think Seven's phrase should be?
Resistance is futile.
Oh my God, you're a monster.
I'd love it to be something like "fuck 'em up." Just Warp 9, fuck 'em up.
Oh my God.
The chat has just chimed in and said, "Send it." That's one that hasn't been used that I do really like, because Captain Pike was punch it. Captain Kirk didn't really have one other than like take us out or something. But yes, send it.
I like this one. You heard me.
Yeah. Warp 9, you heard me.
I really enjoyed that, and it was kind of fun. I liked seeing their dynamic as well, because they're showing that Raffi is, number 2. It's like, and that was delightful. And Raffi had this great line where she's like, a pirate, a thief and a spy are all, it's like the starter of a bad joke. I enjoyed that quite a bit. How did you feel about the phaser beaming power?
So, I mean, I just laughed. I was like, yeah, it's dumb, but I just laughed at it. Like, we've seen this before where you fire this token into something and then a ship then beams up that person. It happened in Insurrection.
I was so confused.
I thought that the Borg were beaming themselves out.
Yes, that's what I thought.
But the little gadget that was attached to the phaser, I was like, what is that gadget doing exactly? I'm assuming it's patching that into the ship. I don't know how you pulled that off on the journey from engineering to the bridge. No, from the maintenance deck to the bridge without your best engineers. Like,
they've already been Borgified.
It's one of the biggest Star Trek MacGuffins I've ever seen.
With the baker, the candlestick maker, the farmer.
Yeah, exactly. You got the doctor and the chef.
I mean, I thought it was really clever, but I didn't quite understand what was happening. I thought that, like you said, the Borg were beaming them off, and then they beamed them right back on. And I was like, that's clever. And then I realized they were stuck in a room, and then they revealed it. So I think it worked. But I kind of love.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a MacGuffin. It's not the most egregious thing I've seen, but it is one of the bigger MacGuffins. But I was like geeked out about the Borg using transporters like that. I was like, yeah, fuck them up, like beam in, beam out, beam in, beam out, like just mess shit up with transporters.
So much DNA just being transported
just around. DNA splashing everywhere. I love it.
So much. Yeah, I thought that was kind of clever and unique, and it did solve an immediate problem.
It's a great TNG fix.
Staying in the same vein as this kind of crew being the crew that Seven would be taking on into this potential new show of the future, watching how they cloaked and then they uncloaked and like shot and then cloaked back in.
Yes.
That was fun.
That's how you use a cloaking device. 100%. Yeah, I loved that. The one thing I was struggling with a little bit was you've got hundreds of ships here. If they all turn on the Titan just for 5 seconds, they're fucked. But I don't know what kind of maneuver the chef was pulling off in order to pull off jumping in, firing, cloaking. It was a lot of trickiness, but it was fun. They're all of cool rules. I am going chronologically, so feel free to jump around. But the next note I had was obviously they get onto, they realize they have to go onto the away mission, and they get onto the ship. Jack's Borg outfit, I liked it.
Okay, I was wondering.
I liked it a lot.
It did look pretty cool.
It looked extremely like Locutus's outfit. Like it was very deliberately similar. So I got all of the funny feelings from it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
You know, Mama Borg, she was saving those clothes. She's like, you know what? Someday I'm going to have another baby, so I'm going to save these Locutus clothes because they're going to be fitting on the next one.
I am slightly missing the Locutus 6-pack. Because when we watch that episode eventually, you will chuckle because they give Picard a like rubber 6-pack, which is very distracting. But I'm glad that wasn't there. But it looked great. It did look really, really, really good.
He got Borgified. He got Borgified. How did you feel about like seeing the inside of this cube and sort of my question of where are all the fucking drones? And the answer that this episode brings to us is that a long, long time ago, when Picard was Borgified and then he left them to starve. But whenever he left them, he did something. I don't know what it was. Ian will know in a second. I'm pretty sure he's going to have all the answers. But a long, long time ago, when Picard left, he didn't leave him enough cheese and crackers. And so they have been slowly eating away their living tissue to survive, essentially, slowly. What's the word? Starve. They're starving.
Yeah.
What did you think of this sort of as a reason to why this Borg cube is not quite so great, not doing well?
It's all of the convenient, or else Worf is right, as like you seem happy that you're not outnumbered, like they would be fucked.
Yeah.
But it makes a heck of a lot of sense to me. So Janeway and Voyager are the ones that left them crippled, diseased, and in trouble. So for me, cannibalizing the organic parts for fuel, the technology to do what you need to do is very Borg. That is an extremely efficient thing to do. Is this army of physical beings is not much use to us, so let's break them down and build something that is useful, and then use that to build something that's going to allow us to attack the Federation and use their army. So I was fine with that. I loved it. Which does lead me on to my next point of I got to see some Borg drones. Yes! That's all I asked for.
You did. And for some reason, Worf's phaser is set to straight through the skull, but the ones that they were using before were not as powerful.
Know.
And I'm just beginning to question Starfleet's weaponry. That should have been a sin maybe for later, but it was interesting to see them. We got to see a fight. We got to see Worf fight and get hurt, and then we got to see us win. So that was kind of fun. I did enjoy that.
Swords are fun. But yeah, they looked great. They looked awesome. I loved them.
Yeah, I loved the set. Seeing the set of all of the interior of this scary space. And I thought that the CGI worked well. There's graphics that were on screen on the Enterprise that sort of gave us even a little bit more information about where we were in this massive space. And I thought that they did a pretty good job of helping us understand the mission and why it was difficult to be seen or heard on specific levels, although very convenient. Of course. It's got to be that way for great storytelling and tension building.
This is where the convenience makes sense. This is where you need it to make a good finale.
I do have a question. How did you feel about the Borgs? I guess they're like, because Borg Queen told us in this episode basically why they were working with changelings, which is that both of these species had been slighted and they both kind of wanted domination, and that the idea was that it was some sort of a Borg babies, I guess.
Well, I was about to talk to you about this plan, actually, what you thought of it. So, yeah.
I'm confused, is my answer.
My understanding is that the coincidence here is that the changelings and the Borg meet up. That's the thing where it's just like they know they're in trouble, so they get together. The Borg Queen has a plan that she doesn't have enough resources to create new drones. For some reason, they're not near enough worlds to assimilate. So their best bet is now to biologically reproduce, because you don't need as many resources for that. Yes, it takes longer, but all you need is two biological beings. They make a Borg baby. So instead of assimilating worlds, they're now going to procreate and gradually evolve Borg. Instead of going, they've always kind of assumed that being 100% technological and mechanical would be the way to perfection. But she's now thinking maybe if we lean more towards the biological side, evolution is pretty good at finding perfection. So let's try and do it that way. And they just use the changelings to assist in some way for some bargain of some sort.
Okay, let me get this straight. Long time ago, in a land far, far away, they put some DNA into Locutus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Not deliberately to do this plan, though.
Okay, so it was an accident.
This is just a byproduct of the assimilation process.
Okay, so Picard has Jack, who has the same DNA, and Borg Queen picks up on his voice at some point in time and isn't alone anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I hear you, but I won't.
But I won't.
So she starts sending out this mental signal like, hey buddy, I'm over here and I'm your number one.
Yeah.
And he's all like, I belong in the happy green space. And so he does that. Borg Queen realizes that she's got a biological son essentially through Jack. Hooks up with some changelings. It's like, you're evolving, so am I.
Yeah.
So why not just give the changelings some of the Borg DNA? No, they have to get it from Jack.
They have to get it from Jack, and I think the changelings would have refused. The changelings aren't going to want to be assimilated.
Well, don't work with the fucking Borg.
Well, maybe that's part of the bargain. Like these bargains only work when you're really, really desperate. So this is like Survivor. So we watched that episode yesterday, and you've got the big group that can outvote them, and the two little groups that aren't strong enough. They don't like each other, but if they team up, they can outvote the bigger group. And it's the same thing. The changelings don't like the Borg, but they can team up for a temporary alliance to take out the Federation.
Okay.
They get fucked either way.
I'm confused still. So her plan is to basically use Jack and somehow with the changelings go have babies.
Yeah. So
Okay. So is that? But just she wants to have actual physical children.
Physical
somehow.
babies. Yeah.
Okay. And then she goes and decides to completely annihilate Earth rather than assimilate those people.
The population centers.
Because she doesn't have the resources to assimilate anymore.
Exactly. So the humans that are on Earth are essentially useless. There's two ways. Either she has enough of an army now to just procreate and do what she wants, or because they targeted specifically the biggest population centers. So cripple Earth. Instead of having 9 billion people on the planet, just have 100 million. and make that your new genetic Borg army.
Okay. I think I don't understand still. But you know what?
Borg babies, that's what it is. Borg babies.
But they want real Borg babies.
They want real
Borg babies. So they're
going
to have to convince or enslave people to have babies with Jack.
They don't need to. But no. So the people that they've assimilated by using the transporter beam, they have the genetic
they're going to
code.
transporter beam them. She doesn't actually need to keep having babies. She just needs to transport them
all of the crew members that are under 25 that have been assimilated, they have babies.
I'm still confused why she would want to take out a lot of the population. I mean, wouldn't that just be an even bigger army?
No, but maybe... So, I mean, this only works on people under the age of 25. And I think the idea is to kill enough people so that they can't uprise. Because if you leave enough people, there'll be a revolution and they'll fight back. So I think the idea is to wipe out as many as possible and then just pump out babies like rats.
Okay.
Long game. It still doesn't make sense because, hey, all you need is the Klingons, Ferengi, Romulans, Cardassians, every other species in the quadrant to gang up on you and you're in trouble. But Earth is the linchpin, as always. Yeah.
Okay. I got it. I think I'm there now. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Well, that was my I don't love the plan, but I get it. I don't know if it's a secret worth holding on to until the last 20 minutes of a 10-hour show. I think you get a lot more if you do that earlier, but I've made that point over and over and again ad nauseum.
I do want to say I'm impressed that you know that a tactical maneuver is to take out population sources first. You're not the only person some of the live chat is also mentioning how to best conquer civilizations.
Organized resistance, always a trouble.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So now we kind of have an understanding on what the Borg plan was. Mm-hmm. And so when Picard and Jack are fighting against her plan can easily fall apart because unless she has Jack amplifying her signal and the changelings to do what they're doing, she's completely crippled because she doesn't have an army on the Borg cube. And then, of course, the Enterprise ends up destroying it.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Whew. Ha. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Captain.
No, you're welcome. Happy to do it. Just final point on the Borg Queen was it's amazing to hear Alice Krieg's voice again. You mentioned earlier that something didn't quite connect with you, and I am going to talk about it now, even though it's slightly cinny. We'll just have a very small sin section, I think, this week. What didn't connect with me, and this is kind of, it's hard to avoid, but you haven't got Alice Krieg talking to you. You have another actor doing an outstanding job of emoting and lip syncing, but we are still lip syncing. And for me, there was this disconnect between the voice and the husk of the body.
Action, yeah.
There is when you turn something into this mechanical spider web thingy, whatever, you lose some of the ominousness. First Contact Borg Queen, Alice Krieg, is sinister, sexy, intimidating. She sleeks around. She is so freaking spooky. Because I can see her all there, and this queen just didn't quite do it for me because I've got the great voice, but I'm not connecting to the person that I'm seeing on screen. And it also looks so similar to what we had in season 2. We had the Borg Queen strung up in La Sirena and then connected to everything. And I just kept thinking about that stuff in season 2. So for me, that it didn't hit completely there, and it's all kind of Borg Queen stuff that we've seen before as well. It's a new plan, but it's the same monologuing. So it didn't 100% hit.
I wasn't sure what it was, and that might be it, the performance a little bit. But for me, it was kind of like I kept expecting there to be more of an attack against Picard, but maybe it's that she just thought that she already had won. She already didn't need to be fighting Picard. But she's got control of all these wiggly things, these little wiggly bits that come down and put connect in. And she didn't really... Picard at one point in time starts ripping stuff out of Jack's body, and she doesn't stop him. She just yells at him. And
yeah,
I found that to be it kind of made her less intimidating that she didn't have any ability other than her voice. It didn't seem like she had any other abilities, but perhaps that's because of how broken down the cube was and that her resources were limited.
That was kind of my logic for it, for sure. What did you have next?
I do want to say at one point I was like, Picard, why are you talking to her? Just shoot her. And then he does. And I was like, yeah.
Get it.
But then there's a shield around her. So it really was interesting. I feel like in some shows, it was like she was Trash Heap from Fraggle Rock.
yeah, it kind of did.
Where she just sort of like comes up out of the ground, like this little TP of mechanical bits. I don't know. I thought that the zombie Borgs looked really cool, though. The ones that were like dead. The ones that
have been like eaten alive. Yes.
Because we don't get to see that very frequently.
So you did have a prediction that came true that I did want to talk about, and it's just you had father-son time, and it came true. We had like a big father-son moment in the cube where it was, or in the Borg mind space where I love you, you're the best thing that ever happened to me.
It was, we needed that. Right? We needed that moment of Picard to have his time to say something specific to Jack and to choose to stay with him in his misery, which we've seen in content before. And, there's something about like, we want to see new things, but there are certain storytelling elements that stand the test of time because they're truth. And there are times when you stay with somebody in their misery. And this is a perfect example of that being a very completely believable moment. There was a moment when Picard turns to Riker and Worf and he's like, I can't be your captain anymore. I got to go be a father. And I thought that was a really well-timed beat, that he's recognizing I'm not leading you guys right now. I'm doing something completely on emotion. I'm not a captain. I'm a dad. So
can't order you to be with me on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could order the entire ship whenever he found out he had a son and was running from the shrink. But now it's different, a little different. I think he knows he's going to his doom, if nothing else.
Yeah, that seemed pretty certain.
But yeah, that was neat. Yeah. That was a needed beat.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it being a hug and flashbacks, and then he breaks free. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's expected a little bit. I kind of wish it was Beverly, to be honest with you. But this is Picard's show.
I get it.
I again find it hard to believe sometimes that Beverly, who has been protecting her son this entire time, would be so not wanting to demand to be there. But maybe she just realizes that he has a better shot and she has a better shot staying on the bridge of saving him long term. And it's just a lot.
You think that I'm better firing phasers than I am at rescuing my own son?
She did a great job.
She did do a great job. It's been 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should have been Beverly and Picard, both of them at once. But I get it. You don't want to overcrowd that area. So what? I love Tuvok. We got a scene with Tuvok again. Tim Russ must have had some free time, but that was great. That was a great way to. And Tuvok was Servant of Nine's mentor throughout the whole of Voyager. So having him do the debrief and the promotion is a beautiful bow on their relationship as well. Call me a sucker for cameos, but seeing Tuvok do his thing got me good.
Yeah, and something else that we got to see again is more flashbacks to Locutus as well. I wanted to kind of point that out as far as the editing concerned. Like, what a great job from the editing department to go back into whenever Picard plugs himself in and returns to Locutus' mind.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see young Picard as Borg.
Yeah, loved it. I really did. I love those flashbacks. Like not being afraid to flashback to your own show. Love it.
And we got Hollow Shaw, we're not done with Shaw yet. And he made Seven cry.
Yeah, he did.
I probably should make that a sin, actually.
You have been and always shall be my Hanson. I thought that was a nice touch. A little bit cheaty, considering how much of a dick he is at the beginning of the season. And this Hollow vid takes place before the beginning of the season, so I'm like, but I think it shows that he has his style and that he did see stuff in her before. It actually gives more weight, in my opinion, to him and his reaction to Seven's behavior from when we start, because he doesn't see her as this rebellious, useless. He already made his conclusions that she is a rule breaker. And she does press, but she's very loyal. And so it kind of makes sense that he would be mad at her, but also trust her as they went through all this bullshit. So I don't know. I kind of felt like it gave his character more heart and intentionality than they had given him since we saw him. So it's the fact that he acknowledges there are different command styles. There are different ways to do it. And where he is a bit of a scaredy cat that goes by the book, that's probably not the best way to do it. So it just shows a level of like command maturity as well that I love. And why aren't we having more Shaw? Gosh dang it! Why?
And they didn't save Shaw this episode. I thought that there might be like a slight chance that he got put into like a biofreeze or something, and then like maybe they're gonna come back and resuscitate him later. I don't know.
Nah, he dead. He for sure dead.
Oh man, is that a petition? Like, is that a reason to go all the way out to LA to picket for our right to have Shaw back?
At his house.
Wake Shaw up! Wake Shaw up inside!
Can't wake up!
Wake him up inside! Sorry.
Save me, Shaw. I liked the little victory lap of sayings and stuff. Data says there was a young lady from Venus.
Yes.
So this happens in episode 2 of The Next Generation. Is the crew has gone, the ship has gone a bit haywire. The crew has gone a bit wild. And Picard asks for like a status update, and Data is like, I'm getting really confusing comm signals coming in from over the ship, including a limerick. And Picard's like, what limerick? And he says there was a young lady from Venus whose body was shaped like it, and Picard cuts him off.
Oh my
and it's
God.
Hilarious.
What was he going to say? Was he going to say penis?
Whose body was shaped like a penis. And it's just great that the Data's like, I always wanted to tell that joke, and everyone cuts me off. It was great.
It was so fast. I got the impression that so final good. Scene, you know, obviously they're acting.
Yes.
Maybe all of these people secretly hate each other. I don't know.
It kind of felt like they weren't acting.
But it felt like they were having a fun reunion. Like, these are people who had their moment X amount of years ago, who've been to countless conventions, who have, I mean, they've been in this universe for a long time. They know how special it is to get to come back. They know how special it is to have the Enterprise rebuilt. They know this is it, but it still felt like that was a really genuine moment. And maybe I'm just like dreaming things up, but it was really fun to see them all smiling and laughing together. I loved it so much.
Yeah. Either way, it hit the notes, it worked. And so the credits being quite long and just playing the whole credits and then playing poker, it really felt like guys just play a hand of poker. Just play.
Yeah, they were having a good time. The
camera's just going to be here. You just carry on playing. No, I loved it. It's they all seem so affectionate towards each other. I love it.
Well, and just to have such a good time. And I like how cleverly it went from circling the table slowly. We're getting to see everybody just be in their moment, and then it goes up, spins, and then comes back down.
Yeah.
And then about the time that the circular table fills the screen, is when it cuts over to the undoing of Q's death.
And here we go.
Is this our Sins transition?
There is a post-credit scene. I cannot in good conscience say that I did not enjoy seeing Q and John Delancey. It is icky, and I've said this before. It is icky to so willfully undo everything from the previous season because you didn't like it. And yes, he says, oh, you're speaking non-linearly, etc. Like, you don't pull that shit. He died. But it was fun. And it is another little sprinkling of, hey, if this is what you want to do, and maybe it does build up some interest, and maybe I have no doubt that at some point in the future, we will have a show set in the 2400s, which is what, I mean, we're in 2402 now, I think. And no, wait, I'm not going to get into that. 24-ish. We should have a show set during this time period, so it's nice that we have sprinkled a couple of world-building potentials here, and I hope we get it. I really hope we get it.
I could have done without it, and here's why.
I get it. I
Q
totally get it.
Is not a character I love. Q for me is a character that makes me roll my eyes and be like, oh, great. Here comes that pompous guy that likes to talk a lot, you know?
We haven't even seen all of the Q episodes yet either.
Oh, I had Vatic enough. I don't need another really egotistical, just likes to fuck with humanity, so powerful he could fart and explode you. Like I didn't need that to make me interested in whatever comes next for Jack. Like, but it's okay. I mean, it's okay.
I'm with
it's
you.
Fine.
I'm not going to disagree. We didn't need it, and I think that it may even be more to set up a future arc or something interesting more than it is Undoing season 2. But it's absolutely part of Undoing season 2. I love the character, but it was a bit, it's a little bit gross.
It's got to be like around the writer's table, someone being like, so are we doing this?
Are
like,
we doing this?
Is this what we're doing? And someone's like, yep.
I know the people that watch season 2 are just like, ouch, my dude. Ouch. Like some professional relationships are getting broken down right now.
Or maybe it was Q's way of fucking with Picard. The final way to fuck with Picard is to make him think that he did something meaningful on his deathbed, and then he just didn't actually die.
Retroactive. Yeah. It's retconning. But a fantastic send-off. A really fun episode. A great way to say goodbye to the crew, in my opinion. Any positives before we move on to a few sins?
One thing I really loved before we go on to the sins section was when Data leaves Troy's office as a human.
Yeah.
And the door opens up and Riker makes some kind of snarky remark or whatever. And he and Deanna giggle and hold each other. And he's like, so how are you feeling? He has the most human response to date, which is, okay. And
I'm okay.
I fucking loved it because how many times does the complexity of your actual life, you look at the person in front of you, you're like, you don't have time for my real answer. And I don't have time to try to explain to you my exact state of mind right now. Yeah. So I'm going to say I'm okay because I am.
That'll do.
And I really love that. I don't know if that was really purposeful or if that was just like a thing that was written, but it was such a human response. And I thought it was a great last line for Data.
Oh, I think that's it. I think that's absolutely perfect. I think that's exactly what it was. Love it. One final thought from me is that yes, we ended on the I know we mentioned it, but ending on the poker match. That is exactly the same shot that we had from All Good Things, which is the season finale of TNG. Exactly the same shot, different poker table, chef's kiss, perfection. Great way to end it. Super duper. Love it. Okay, with that, it's time to head into engineering for ReSInstance's Futile. Battle stations, everyone.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Okay, you first, Ambassador.
Let me just pick one here. I think I'm just going to sin how incredibly vain we Earthlings are. Because Beverly says if Earth falls, everything falls, every planet, every system. The whole galaxy. I just cannot believe that's true.
I don't know how you write that and believe it's true.
Such a small speck. I know that it's giving gravity to the viewer at home, like, oh no, we can't lose Earth. But there's so many other places, and I have a hard time believing that, like, Earth is the supreme of them all. But at the same time, we humans wrote it, so I can understand why. So maybe just the sheer hubris of that comment.
It's a lot, isn't it? And it is, yes, Earth is the center of the Federation, the establishing planet. It is the center of Starfleet. A lot hinges on Earth, yes, but I don't think there's a way you can have overstated that more. Like, there are Vulcans, there are some Romulans left, there is the Klingon Empire, there are species beyond number. It's interesting phrasing. What did I have? We talked about the portable beam up device. That was fine. It's dumb, but it's fine. Not taking the android on the mission to the Borg seemed ridiculous to me. I'm like, you want to take the android? He has super strength. He has programming abilities. And yeah, we want him to pilot the Enterprise. But it was the most plot-driven decision to leave Data behind. I'm like, it's squishy humans versus android. You take the android.
I know. They were kind of right, though. Like, they need to have a superpower on the ship somehow.
Yeah, I guess.
But, yeah.
It's a lot.
I think I would also maybe try to sin that changelings just aren't a thing anymore. I guess we did get one little wink to them being scanned in the end, where it's like, we dealt with it. Like, we got them all in the end.
They were a massive red herring. We didn't get confirmation that the Borg Queen was the Hand
until
either.
Last episode, right? Was there 2 episodes?
We didn't. We still didn't get that confirmation. We're assuming that it's the Borg Queen, that's the meaty finger. But yeah, I guess so. But not like absolutely.
To me, it was just like we spent the whole entire season was about these
8 episodes. Yeah.
And then for them to just drop off with Vatic, who wasn't even the main bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like a little bit of a letdown to that
I agree.
Storyline that I was really invested in. But I don't know if I think I've mentioned sinning it last episode, but I would say this episode.
It's a huge misdirect, so we get the twist of the Borg. It is a bit cheaty. I get it. The Death Star trench run cliche was everything comes down to a ship flying inside something and blowing it up. It did have
let's talk about this.
That cliche to it.
Everything mimics something else somehow. I didn't mind that we're watching a ship fly into something bigger. How else are they going to get in there?
No, I think it's fun. It's a pop culture thing to observe. That's kind of one of the things we do for Sins, is that this story always ends up with a timeline, because you've got 60 minutes, 60 seconds. After we've blown it up, you have 60 seconds to get out. There's always that ticking time clock thing countdown. So yeah, it's something I would sin.
I know, but I just don't think that it was technically stolen as much as it's just done again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because someone did it before Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever. Someone did it before
Star Wars. I don't know. Not spaceships.
They did it with puppets, and it was on a kid's TV show.
Maybe the Dam Busters did it in the 60s. Anybody understands the Dam Busters reference? You are old. Okay, I would let you cut that sin.
No. I think that the reference is there. I just hate sinning the show for something that if you want to fly a ship in there, you're going to have to fly it in there and fly it around some stuff. And to have Data, this perfectly capable android I think it's plausible that it looked so badass. And it looked so badass. It wasn't just a straight line incredible. Down. It wasn't like the straight kind of in thing. It was all around. It was swooping. It was shifting. It would have been a wild ride. I wouldn't have wanted to be in there. I would have pooped myself.
No, I would absolutely shit my pants. But it looked beautiful. Like the CGI was great. It looked fun. It was incredible.
I think I would probably try to send something about like, if you can't see us, we're not in fleet formation anymore. Just something to do with like, you know how kids play hide and seek, and it's like as long as they can't see you, you can't see. Like they're just a lump underneath the covers.
Yes.
But they can't see you, so they're hiding. I was like, of all of the reasons for you to be able to break away, it's if you can't see me. And maybe
that hurt me so much.
It just didn't seem like it made much sense to me, but that's okay. They had to find some reason, and that was it.
It's my next sin. It's probably the laziest thing in the whole episode. The control system doesn't work unless it's line of sight. I don't know. We have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi that doesn't need line of sight. I have no idea how line of sight comes into this at all. It was such a MacGuffin to allow the Titan to survive. Good thing we have that cloaking device that we didn't know was going to come in handy.
Super good. Yeah.
It hurt. That one really hurt. That would get a lot of sins.
A joking fun one that's not actually a sin, which of course we love, is this beautiful shot of our beloved TNG crew on the Enterprise, and I wanted their clothing. So I think the sin is making me want to wear old people's clothes.
Making me want to get people naked to use their clothes.
Badass.
Yeah, I want all of
their
these uniforms.
Clothes. It looked so good, like these leather sort of jackets, and they had this mixture of like muted, almost autumnal, coloration. It was so good. Anyway,
so I'm gonna send something that's a little bit cheaty. I don't know how best to do this. It is a positive as well, actually. I like that we have the Enterprise G. Like, this is a big swing. Like, introducing a new Enterprise is a big swing.
That's the big one at the end, right?
That's at the end. They renamed the Titan the Enterprise. Now, it's
Was it the G or the D?
G.
Okay.
Enterprise G. So the Enterprise F has just been retired.
That's the one that Worf blew up, we think.
No. So the E is the one that Worf blew up. D is the one from the show. E is in the movies and Worf blew it up.
I just stopped listening to you. I'm so sorry. I know I asked the question, but then I immediately realized I don't actually give a fuck. So keep going.
F is the one that Admiral Shelby was piloting and got taken over by the Borg and was being retired and led the Starfleet Day stuff. Enterprise G is at the end and was the renamed Titan. My point is that it now makes sense as to why the Titan looks the way that it does. Because it's a Neo-Constitution class, and I've completely lost you, I know.
It's fine. Other people are listening besides me. That's the joy of a podcast.
It's a revamped version of the original Enterprise. So that's why it kind of looks the way that it does, because they planned from episode 1 to make it the Enterprise G. So, yes, it's a sin. I feel it's a bit sinny to shoehorn the Titan into the skin suit of a new Enterprise. And there you go. Enterprise G.
Okay,
But I
so
like it.
if we were writing this together, I would say that last line is all it needs to be. There's no reason to reference all of the alphabet unless you decide. Unless you decide. I know it was for my benefit. Unless you decide to create a new alphabet song. And I'm just gonna say it right now that when they go through to Z someday, somebody is gonna create the A B C D E F G, but they're gonna do that with all enterprise minded stuff, and it's going to have like this whole thing where Star Trek nerds are finally going to be able to have a way to teach children the alphabet based on the classes of ships.
How have I not already done this? I don't have a child. That's probably why, but I should make money off of doing that.
Because we're just to G.
Well, yeah, that too, but there's like other ships. I don't know if there is anything that went up to Z yet.
Oh, well, they need to get that done.
Yeah, there's not like a Excelsior Z or something. Okay.
I did think that they were going to name it the USS Picard.
Yeah, I thought that's where they were going. Yeah.
And I would have been like, cool, that's awesome.
Yeah, or the USS Nepotism.
There you go.
Amazing.
There's this moment where Data is already zoomed into the Borg ship, and now they've blasted the center and they've got to get out. And I don't remember who says it. Could be Deanna, could be Beverly. The idea was like, Data? And he's like, I'm doing the best I can to scan. And I'm like, aren't you also flying the ship? So while he's flying, he's also scanning.
Yeah.
And my sin
doing
is like,
way too much.
Let the man do one thing well at a time. He is maneuvering through chaos right now. Can't somebody else scan? Don't you guys know how to do that?
Geordie, what are you doing right now?
What is Geordie doing right then?
Well, keeping a chair warm.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, big sigh. Laris, sorry. Laris,
where the fuck is Laris?
Laris? Didn't get a goodbye, didn't get anything. Now we need another season to wrap up Laris and Elnor.
Where did she even go? She's just like,
on
meet me
Romulus
someday.
Somewhere. I know
meet me someday at this place. And
it's been a year later, and Picard didn't bring Laris with him. I don't know. More erasure.
Oh my god.
Now, this was, we just mentioned Elnor, and someone in the chat did say that the Excelsior was blown up last week, and Elnor was assigned to the Excelsior. Did Terry Metalis just backdoor murder Elnor? He blew up the Excelsior, and that's where Elnor is. Terry killed Elnor.
What?
Right? Season 2. He's through Starfleet Academy, he gets assigned to the Excelsior. Yeah,
but are you sure that they blew that one up?
The Excelsior was the one that broke free. And then all of the ships turned on it and blew it up.
Okay.
Yep. It's gross. It's really icky.
Did he really do that?
I think he did.
Do you think he did it on purpose? Do you think he like woke up in the night and was like, I have another idea?
I have another idea. One ship breaks free. We let Nolan North voice it and we kill Elnor. I'm amazed he didn't kill Thingy in that bar fight. We're going to find out that Terry Metalis traveled back in time and was responsible for...
Listen. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just take a deep breath here because someone in the chat has said that actually Elnor's under 25, so he would have been turned into the Borg.
Yeah.
So maybe he's alive.
No. Meaning that he was killed by the officers on the Excelsior before it blew up.
Oh, because
either way, he died. Yeah, because the ship still blew up. So he either died before it blew up or during, one of the two.
Unless he got beamed out, by...
He did not.
Wow. Okay, well, this has been a great show.
Yeah, it's been great,
how depressing.
More sins.
Oh my God, that's a huge sin. I think I'm going to sin the fact that, we get to see Data in the chair with Deanna Troi kind of dealing with the emotional onset of being a human, realizing that the pursuit of humanity was stressful, but becoming one is even more stressful. And that's good. That's a good character development. I like that.
Right?
But why don't we see any of the Borg babies in there going, I came back to life and I'm a murderer now? Like,
I killed my friends.
Every single person comes back having murdered somebody.
Yeah, they're all going to be in counseling. They're all going to need therapy.
I would like to see a moment, but instead they're just like sitting there happily on screen like, hey, Dad, I'm back from Girl Scout. I got my badge today. Got my murder badge.
Suddenly, like, Picard isn't the only one that's like, I killed a bunch of people. It's like, join the back of the queue, Picard.
Like, literally, Shaw, and that one episode where he's like, you're a Borg, you can't be trusted. That's like 90% of Starfleet now.
Yeah.
Because they killed everybody else.
Pretty much.
So all remaining Starfleet are needing to have deep counsel.
They're going to need it, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Well, we will add one little comment to the Elnor is dead discussion, and someone in the live chat has said that Terry took to Twitter and said Elnor is not dead. Elnor was not on board the Excelsior.
That's because he plans on using him for a future show.
I think he knows that Elnor was one of the things we really all unanimously liked about season 1 and 2. Maybe not unanimously, but I liked him.
I seem to remember a lot of disgruntledness about that character.
Yeah? Oh, maybe you're right.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. Can I mention something else that I really enjoyed before we go into the next part of like hitting our predictions?
Let's have a happiness and then we'll review the predictions.
That moment at the end when Jack is unpacking his bag and there's the picture of his parents. How fun was that? That had to be from like a promotional thing, right?
It's done the rounds so many times. They're at an awards show. It's a real life picture of Patrick Stewart.
I mean,
Gates.
You can tell because he's like in a tux and she's in a dress, and it's just like the super casual, like laid back moment of when they would have been in love, and I just thought that was really kind of a cool thing. Like, these are my parents, guys, and it's really cool. I like it when shows will use actual photos from the actor's life within the material, because you're seeing something real inside something fake, and I don't know. I think that was fun. Yeah.
It's a weird fucking picture to have, but it's
great.
Fun. It's really really fun.
Come on, that's a great picture to have.
It is. Yeah, it did make me laugh. It did.
It was so cool. Like the two admirals, just when they were young and carefree and just on shore leave one day going out to dinner, and someone snapped a picture of them and got it printed.
Tuxedos survived until the 2370s. Cool.
Well, listen, we don't know.
Amazing. With that, let's head over to our final stop for this season and this series, the Captain's Ready Room. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the future, but mainly bask in our Q-like glory if anything we predicted from this season came true. Okay, let's do a quick rundown. So, episode 1, all the way back to episode 1, Captain Shaw will be ordered to work with Picard and Beverly. No, not really. They were always on the run. Ian thinks the Zat Vash are in Starfleet. Well, now that I know that nothing from season 2 survived, clearly that's not a good prediction. Deneé thinks that Starfleet completely collapses, so it's just down to the Titan. No.
Whoa, that kind of happens in a strange way. Because
it was
all
actually just down to the Titan.
All of Starfleet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good prediction. Okay, that's 1 point to you. You got to keep track of the points.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Beverly's son is a clone or an android. I mean...
Android. That is... Android. Yeah. Okay. No, more like a Borg.
We don't get that.
More like a Borg bot. More like a Borg baby.
Borg is about the only thing we didn't predict.
We did too.
What?
We predicted that there was Borg involved.
I mean back in episode 1. That's the only thing we threw out there. That's the only thing we didn't throw out there.
Okay.
Episode 2. Vadic is going to kill one of the main characters to elevate herself to supervillain, possibly Beverly or Riker, or maybe Seven or Shaw. In episode 4 or 5, I got oddly specific and was wrong. Vadic does not kill anyone other than some random crew people. Deneé thinks Law is behind it all. Nope. Ian thinks Law has been stolen and has Moriarty, and they're behind it all. Back in episode 2, Ian said there is another villain that has hired Vadic, has stolen the weapons and Law, and Vadic is a red herring. Do I get a point for that?
Say it again.
There is another villain that has hired Vadic and stolen the weapons and Law. Vadic is a red herring. Back in episode 2.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Vadic is a red herring. That was pretty good. I'll take that. Number 3, Jack's vision. Something to do with the Great Link or the wormhole aliens creating a vision for him, or Cisco reaching out. Big no. Definitely wasn't that. The wormhole aliens live in the nebula. No, wasn't that. They were just alive. The nebula is alive. That was Deneé. Deneé gets a point for that.
Got that one for sure.
I forgot about this prediction. This is from me in episode 3. Jack has some Borg in him. The Borg are reaching out to him through Agnes.
Not through Agnes,
Not Agnes, the Queen. But episode 3, I called it. I get a point.
You get a point.
On.
You get
I get a point. Thank you. The Shrike is going to rescue the Titan. That was incorrect because they were trapped in the wormhole.
Well, they tried to, though.
They were sent to, but they failed. So do I get a point for that?
You get half a point.
Half a point, thank you. Geordie is going to rescue the Titan. Nope.
What do you mean? He's totally dead.
He did not rescue. No, as this was when the Titan was circling the drain in the nebula.
Oh.
The vaginal canal of the nebula.
Okay, the vaginal canal. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
One of the main crew will be a changeling, probably Riker.
Man, that would have been so fucking cool.
Would have been great.
Him or Shaw. That didn't happen.
No.
But, I mean, the
Just
changelings
Tuvok.
were part of the crew, but not like our crew. Yeah.
I can't believe I guessed the Borg thing in episode 3 and just forgot about it ever since. That's amazing.
I want to go back and listen to that part because I remember being like something about it being in his blood.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Ian thinks that the series will end with a poker game of the main crew. Episode 4, people.
Yeah!
Yes!
That's
Get
a
it.
solid point.
I should get 10 points for that. That was amazing. Vadic is sharing her body with another changeling, which is why she can just take her arm off. So you thought she was a different species.
Yeah,
and was
I'm
only
not going to
part
count that, but
changeling.
I still don't know why that's happening. I'm still confused as to were they just trying to give us a visual that they're part of a Great Link? I don't know. That's still confusing.
Yeah, that was a confusing thing. Ian thinks that Jack is half changeling to find a cure for the Great Link disease. Now, that was very wrong because they've already cured that disease. I just forgotten about it. Episode 5 and 6 made us mad, so we didn't have a lot of cohesive predictions. Episode 7, Deneé thinks that Data will sacrifice his body and become the new ship's computer voice.
Which would have been fucking cool.
Would have been fucking cool. Episode 8, Agnes is behind the red door.
Nope.
No.
But it is Borg.
It is Borg. This is my prediction, Jack will be consumed by what is behind the red door and go crazy. I get a point.
No.
He was consumed by the Borg, which were behind the red door, and he leaves and goes crazy. 1 point, please.
No.
Half a point.
I'll give you half a point.
Thank you. It actually ends up being a good guy behind the red door. No, okay, it wasn't. No, that's wrong. Episode 9 predictions. Neelix, Hollow Doctor, Spock, Agnes, Elnor, Data's daughter all turn up with Wesley. This was your prediction because you wanted Data to meet his daughters, finally. So no points. No points.
No points.
No one turned up. Episode 10. Jack will take over the Borg from the inside because he has allowed himself to be assimilated, and that was the plan all along.
Nope.
Love that.
Would have been great.
Would have been great.
Expected it. Did not happen. He was completely consumed and super happy being a perfect being, just used of Borg forever.
Yeah. I'll just be the Borg family now. Seven and Raffi will retake the Titan and join the Enterprise. We both predicted that, so I think we both get a point. They will find something to do with Jack being the cure and use that to cure the Titan and the rest of the fleet. Nope. They will use the transporters to deborgify everyone. That was Deneé. You get a point. There is something inside Picard that is pure and true, and that will be programmed into the transporters. That was my prediction. No, didn't do that. And yeah, that was our predictions. What were the points?
I won.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
For sure.
Go on.
I definitely won.
Go on.
I just feel like I remember talking about the Borg thing, and I feel like we just didn't write it down.
Possibly. And by we, you mean me, because I write this stuff down.
I just feel like you failed writing some of the things down because I know I got more than 4 predictions right during the season. But you know what? According to your very conflicted ending of the prediction section for the season, you have won by half of a point.
Oh, yes. Half a point. No, that's fair. I don't think I wrote everything down. That was a very quick summary.
Not only did you not write everything down, that does not include any of the predictions that we have at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Hang on. Did I write any of those down?
There's a ton of things that we predicted that we haven't even gotten.
Father-son talkie
and
time.
What would have been really funny to do is go negative points and we got wrong and see who actually.
Oh, no. I would have lost. I would have lost so bad. Okay,
but it doesn't really matter. It's been fun to predict. It's been fun to think about what could happen and definitely be wrong, a lot wrong this season, but also a lot right too. And it's really fun watching everyone's predictions because it changes almost moment to moment, especially who the big bad was. So I really, I will always enjoy the prediction stuff, but it's definitely, it happens during the show. It happens like in the moments. I'll guess things that are happening during the show too. And I've definitely been really proud of myself on a couple things because I love predicting things. But I am glad that my hope that this final episode had some really solid hits for me was true. Because I wanted that to be a prediction. I wanted to predict that they would go out with a bang and it would be like the perfect TNG episode. Yeah. And I think it was. I think it was a really great TNG episode.
Mm-hmm. It was a great way to wrap it up. It's how they should have finished it years ago. And I'm glad the beauty is that they've had this chance to come back and give it the send off that it needed. So
and we got
really, really happy. Yeah. Nailed it. In terms of actual predictions, what would you like to see next? Is it a movie? Is it a TV show in this era? What would you like to see from the characters that we've seen? I'm talking more like Jack, Seven, Raffi. What would you like, another season that's like Star Trek Legacy or some movies? Who would you like to zero in on?
I don't want any movies. No, I don't. I think that this is all TV world. And I think it would be really fun to see the writers from Strange New Worlds take a stab at doing another episodic kind of show with just different characters. However, that's very expensive. They've got a very successful Strange New Worlds going on right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would flood it with another crew that, honestly, compare the two, I want to watch Strange New Worlds. Yeah. And that's been after a long hiatus from watching Strange New Worlds. So I just feel like they should focus on, like the episodic releases. However, I would watch like little mini things or like every so often things. But the cost of keeping up different sets just for coming back to every so often, aging actors, time commitments, it's stupid to think that like, oh, maybe like they can do a quarterly episode for me.
It is for me.
Honestly, I think I'm ready to say ta-ta, farewell. I love Seven and I love Raffi. I've enjoyed Jack, but I don't need to see them in anything else personally. Yeah. I would have watched Shaw though.
Yeah, man, Captain Shaw. I think I would still like a Star Trek Legacy with Seven in command and the Enterprise G. I still want to explore the future. I really want a series set in the 2400s which explores where are we at now? Where is the state of Star Trek? What's going on with everybody? Then
do something really interesting where you take these characters and you crash land them somewhere and they all die. And then like an alien race takes over the ship and becomes the new crew or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
don't just leave it with these characters for me. I love Seven, but I don't think I love Seven as much as others love Seven. And I like Raffi, but I like Raffi with Worf. The dynamic of Seven and Raffi together is a stressor for me. I don't want to watch a back and forth bickering relationship kind of thing go down. I kind of want to leave that behind. But hey, if the season that was in doesn't actually exist, maybe I'm wrong about what's going to happen with them in the future. I don't know. I just don't need to see it personally.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, overall, what an interesting journey. I'm really happy with the ending. Ups and downs all over the place. But yeah, absolutely worth it for those last two episodes, in my opinion. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this voyage to explore Star Trek Picard. The series that started Captain's Pod off. The mission was to take Ambassador through Picard as a bit of a rundown of Star Trek fandom. This is what started the pod. Yeah.
The entire purpose of starting this podcast is completed.
Done. Level unlocked.
Wow. Just like Shaw is done. Here we are. The end of the life of the podcast. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected when we started the show to have, first of all, we didn't have a live audience when we started the show. We didn't have the number of downloads that we had. We just started off with like, hey, let's just see if people want to hear us talk about Trek. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for giving us reviews on Apple. We really appreciate that. Sharing us with your friends or wherever you kind of talk about your favorite podcasts. We really appreciate the word of mouth because that's the number one way to grow a podcast. You would think that it would be like, oh, you can do it by, marketing. Nope. Best marketing is actually you guys talking about it and showing up every week. We really appreciate it a lot. It's been a lot of fun to meet other people who have very little to no Star Trek experience.
Yes, that's really fun.
We had the pleasure of meeting some in person at Cin Week. One in particular came into the whole CinemaSins world through this podcast, which is wild.
Yeah, it's so fun.
And it's just a delight that you're having a good time. And so we love you guys a lot. And so we'll see. I don't know what's next because this was all about Picard. So I guess we're going to start a new podcast about puppies.
Exclusively about puppies.
Puppy podcast.
Yeah, Poppy Poopy Pop podcast. Well, until next time, everybody, thank you for listening. As always, I'm going to find out what the lady from Venus is doing.
What? That makes this one so much worse because I'm going to use Worf's one.
Oh, no.
And I will make it a threesome for me.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That was perfect. And yeah, I mean, on that, live long and prosper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
It's time to light the music. It's time to put out lights. Time to get something started on the Muppet Show tonight. Boom, 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 boom. It's time
Let the
to
music
put
play.
on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to eat some guacamole.
No, you
while
said you
you're
were
on
going
the
to
show
stop.
tonight.
You said you were going to stop eating guac.
I did, but then I got hungry.
Oh, you got the dank ruffles. Yeah, you
I do have the dank ruffles. I'll get the dank ruffles with some dank guac and some spicy cheese.
Ian, why am I shitting out of the eye of a needle?
Why does my tummy hurt so much?
Right. Full disclosure, if for some reason, and it shouldn't go this long, if for some reason we are still on air at 3 p.m, or if we are doing anything at 3 p.m, if we have a meeting, or if we are driving, or if we are hanging out in any form or doing anything, I will ditch you so quick because there is a new ship launching that has not been available at all. I've missed the last 2 drops because I've set an alarm at 3 p.m. for when the website goes live, and I've ignored the alarm. I've just said, that's a weird time to set an alarm, and moved on with my life. I am going to remember, because the USS Stargazer, the XL, the one with the 4 nacelles, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, Picard's original command, never released. They found them. It's being released today at 3 o'clock. I must. You know when Iris says, I need it, and you're just like, Iris, you don't need it. You need oxygen, you need food, you want this. I need this ship today.
I need this
I need this ship. I will be devastated, first world problems.
Holy shit, man.
Parentheses, if I don't get this ship.
Okay, first of all, you're doing this all wrong.
Continue, please.
You should have an alarm set for 2:30 that says get to computer. And then you should have another one set for 2:45 that says, are you at your computer?
Nice.
Like, you need to prep so that it's not going off at 3, because then you have to walk to the computer, open the computer,
True.
deal with whatever internet problems are definitely going to happen, because this is the most important thing that's ever happened to you, apparently. So you know that the universe is going to fuck with you. That is
completely. Or my
so
own
you
brain.
need to prepare for that.
That's really, really smart. Here's what I did instead. I went into the Captain's Pod Discord and I crowdsourced it. I said I would promote anybody to First Officer on this Enterprise, anyone and everyone that reminds me to go and check the website at 3 o'clock.
That's so stupid. And let me tell you why.
Continue.
So now, when your alarm is going off to tell you the most important thing, it's also bombarded
Ping.
with people pinging you, and now you have to answer them instead of getting to the computer.
Okay, you under the impression that I have to reply.
That's true. That's true.
So what immediately happened last night was everybody, being smart asses that they are, messaged me saying, hey, remember to do this thing at 3 o'clock. Remember to do this thing at 3 o'clock. So they're all expecting a promotion. Little did they know that I trolled them, because I said, anyone who reminds me at 3 p.m. The only way you get the promotion is if you send the message at 3 p.m.
Just real quick, you do know that we're not on an actual starship, right? Like, you don't actually get to promote anybody, right? Like, you know that, right? Because I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like maybe you forgot.
No. I was happy. No, I am not. I'm terribly impatient as well, so I can't sit at the computer at 2:50 and wait for 10 minutes for it to go live and refresh. Can't do it.
Well, then you don't deserve it.
I have to do something else and then jump in at 3 o'clock. I can't waste 10 minutes just sat there.
But you can waste 10 minutes instructing other people to tell you to do that.
I don't think that's a waste, and that took me 10 seconds. You've known Aaron for a while, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I found a new
I've
level.
known him for many whiles.
Many whiles. I found a new level of deductive reasoning from him. He messaged me after the show last week with a picture, which is always terrifying after I've left his studio. And the picture was just of his board and the desk that is above his board to my left with 2 coasters. And he said, by the position of these coasters, can I assume that you had open containers above my board?
You didn't, though, did you?
I did not, because I'm right-handed. And that's what I had to say to you. I was absent-mindedly playing with your coasters, and that's where they ended up. They ended up on the left. Now, if you try to explain that to somebody who is convinced you used the coasters for their purpose to be a drink, that excuse sounds like horseshit. Oh, yeah, no, I was just playing with the coasters, and they ended up exactly where they were, where my beverages would be. So I had to, emphasize, I am right-handed. I would not do that. And he just sent me a ton of shady gifts. Just no, you're lying to me. I don't believe you. So just impressed that his deductive reasoning went there. It was good.
Yeah, he's rightfully very protective of the equipment, the very expensive equipment that is the lifeblood of what we do.
Very much so. Yeah, very much.
So what are you going to troll him this week then? What are you going to do this week?
I've got to figure something out, haven't I? I might just move his board. No, because that's just childish and he wouldn't like that. I could hide his sift. No, I don't know. It needs to be something really subtle.
We're gonna need Elmer's glue.
No, that is not subtle. Nothing with glue is subtle. Anything with glue is usually permanent.
No, Elmer's glue is not permanent. That's the beauty of Elmer's glue.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. We don't have Elmo's glue.
It's Elmer's glue.
Elmo?
Mer.
As in Elmer Thud?
No, like mermaid.
El Mermaid?
Elmer's glue.
I thought her name was Ariel.
So it's a child glue, it's a children's glue.
Okay.
So it's designed to not repair out, essentially. It's supposed to be somewhat water soluble. But anyway, the good thing about it is it goes on and it looks like semen.
Oh.
This real thick.
Oh no.
Viscousy. But then it dries clear, much like also.
Yes.
So
the filth coming out of your mouth.
I know. But it could be kind of fun because it might end up accidentally looking like you spilled something liquidy.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
But then it would just peel off.
Completely cleanable. Man, what if I just put a trail of it in the firing line of where it would be?
I just got what you're saying. You are so fucking sick.
You said it. You described it that way.
I didn't say that I was going to
Okay, I found a way to fuck with him.
Okay.
I still have access to his behind the scenes prep sheet.
Okay. What are you going to do?
I'm going to change some words.
To what?
Really subtle. So...
What do you mean?
This week, I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers. Is going to be changed to this week, I'm joined by follow Bafflegabbers. Because I think I've got to autopilot his brain so that he doesn't even realise he's saying the wrong shit.
I was thinking about making something obvious. He would see it. He'd think, oh, no, they spilled water. Oh, that's just a prank. And we're done.
No.
You're actually trying to get into his mind.
Yeah, so listen to next week's episode of BTS.
Oh, my God.
And if he fucks the intro, you'll know why. If I put a big error up front, he'll think that that's the one joke and then forget the smaller one. So welcome to Behind the Sins, a look at what's going on outside the world of CinemaSins. That might be subtle enough that he thinks that's what it's always been. I could Mandela effect him.
You know what he's going to do?
Yeah.
He's going to go and look at who was last in the document. He's going to see himself, but he's going to see that it changed at 11:17 a.m. and he's going to know who was in the studio at that time.
Oh,
he will figure it out so quickly.
No, he will.
Just whatever you end up doing, as long as it's not prep sheets are something I wouldn't mess with, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself into a situation where you are writing a script, you're doing all the things that, a dicer does.
Yeah.
And you run downstairs. You don't need to prepare for the show because you've got your prep sheet. You sit down to go into autopilot and somebody has fucked with your autopilot and you just don't have the time or energy to figure it out. And then you don't know how far it's going to go. How many words did you mess up? Is it just the first few? Is it the entire document?
So far, 2.
I'm just saying.
But the beauty is it makes for great outtakes.
Speaking of outtakes, shall we do the show? I don't know that anything else happens. I'm just watching the poker table from above.
Something else happens.
Okay.
Which I fucking called that, didn't I?
Does somebody did somebody come in and shoot them all dead?
Something gets shot dead.
Okay. Oh, it's Spot, isn't it? Oh, that's sick.
Oh, yeah.
The cat.
Spot gets skinned on screen.
That's dark.
Captain Spot, Stardate. Let's call it 1. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins. No, we're in 10 forward.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I thought maybe you were doing something special since it's are you okay today?
I'm okay, but that's not going to make any sense because I can't even use that for the intro because we do the intro before we've seen the show.
But that's why I thought you were being clever, that you were just going to be like, we're going to do this again because now we have some more content.
Yeah, no, maybe I should do.
Hey, we have a hard out today. Ian has plans.
I will ditch you people so quick. 2:59, 2:55, I'm out.
No, you need to be on that site in 3 minutes, just refreshing for half hour.
No.
Just 20 minutes of just constant. Hey, don't forget. 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Hey, Ian.
3 o'clock.
Hey,
3
Ian.
o'clock.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, hey,
Hey,
hey,
Ian.
hey.
Ian, should I have gone with the reading the entire quote from Shakespeare that Picard has at the end?
Yes.
There is a
Yes,
tide
you
in the
should.
affairs of men, which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage
you
of their
did
life
it.
is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea as we are now afloat, and we must take the current where it serves, or lose our ventures. Yes, I
Love
wrote
it.
it down while watching full speed
Nicely
typing.
done.
And then I
Nicely
realized
done.
it's Shakespeare, guys. I didn't know it was Shakespeare until afterwards. That should have been my ending quote to the podcast.
Just to pump it up? Yeah.
Just really let it go.
Ham it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ham it up.
Really long pauses in between.
Just shatter it a bit.
Can you break down this Shakespeare for us? What does it mean? Of course I can, on my very own podcast, which will be coming to you in lieu of this one.
Deneé explains Shakespeare.
Polly says, so Q didn't show up to Picard because Picard is dead, and Q doesn't count the golem body as a beast. So he shows up to Picard's son.
Sounds right, I guess. I mean, it's like I said, it's a little bit icky. It's a little bit confusing. It is whatever you want it to be because it's a last minute swing at a last minute swinger involving Q.
Here's a sin from Josh Zero about birth control. Essentially, Josh says that this is the 25th century and Picard and Beverly can't just have a bonk without an unwanted consequence. Might be more complicated than that. But I don't want to take away that it's your biggest sin of the series. It is
pretty
interesting to have a child show up.
Yeah.
Which we thought was going to be happening, I think, in season 1. We're like, Picard's going to have a son, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're going to bring in a
Carry on
child,
the
right?
legacy. Yeah.
And instead, they're like, nope, he's going to deal with his mental issues that actually aren't mental issues. It's something in his brain that's actually Borg stuff. Man, if we watched all of these seasons again with this new framework, I just wonder how much
It would be
gymnastics
rough.
we would have to do to
Oh.
make it make sense.
It would be hard. It's so incohesive. It would be really, really tricky.
Here's a question from Link. How did the Borg cube get to the solar system without anyone knowing it was there?
A transwarp conduit, but I don't know how they put the transwarp conduit inside Jupiter. That's a neat trick. Maybe the changelings did it. It's a big ask. It's a big leap, but it looked pretty cool.
It looked fucking cool.
Yeah, it did.
Flyboy says, I thought it was awfully convenient that the changelings didn't kill Tuvok when they replaced him, but it led to that wonderful 7 Tuvok scene.
Super convenient, but it needed to happen so that we get the scene. That's the bottom line. You can't kill off Tuvok that easily. That would be a bit rough.
James says, wait, for the under 25-year-olds that were stealth assimilated using the transporters, were they only the ones on Starfleet starships or anybody using a Federation transporter within the UFP?
I think it was just the Starship transporters, I think.
That was my impression too,
Yeah,
James.
based on what they
However,
said.
I think once they got down into Earth, it would have been different, but why not just Earthify them?
Yeah. Uh-huh. It was conveniently limited.
Nerds! Was the phaser a callback to the shield modulation that they had to do in TNG? Worst phaser was different. Ask
Could be.
Ron 78.
Well, that's the only way that you get through the Borg shields is by remodulating the old phaser whatsits.
And that is the official word. The phaser what's it?
Random settings, keep them guessing. Don't give them time to adapt.
No, the what's it. Tim asks this question. Why not O'Brien? Where is the love for our greatest engineer?
Right. Sucks. One
I
big thing
also
missing from the
wonder.
finale.
Why? I mean, do you think it's just timing or?
Yeah, and he wasn't in a lot of episodes.
He was great.
But he's great. I would love to have seen him.
Okay. Makes me sad. He was on the Excelsior, Tim.
He was captain of the Excelsior and it blew him up. Amazing.
Ian, when will we get to see all of the Trek ships on your body? Hashtag OnlyFans.
Oh my. I mean, you can see there's only one ship on my body, but I'm wearing a tight sleeve, so I can't get it up. Ha! Can't get it up. Clip that.
Don't clip that.
I'm sorry. There probably will not be an Ian OnlyFans. Most likely not.
But if you do get another tattoo, you will show it if it's in a proper place.
Only if it's on my penis. Yes.
Okay. With that, we're going to have a conversation with Ian and HR. One moment, please.
I haven't done it yet.
Boo ba ba doo ba doo boo dam doo doo boo ba ba.